All right, guys. So just a little bit of lead time here before everything takes off. Wait for some ads to appear and wait for people to join in because this is the Car Guy and SIXFAN show. And tonight we've got a couple of very special people joining us for the Car Guy and SIXFAN show. Grant is not able to be here, and so we've substituted a guest host in the likes of Luke. Luke, why don't you say hi and introduce yourself?
Hello, everybody. If you don't know who I am Luke, aka Big Easy, from the Coastal Auto Reaction, the Car Guys. It's a YouTube channel that my brother-in-law and I started a few years back, and the Community Not Competition group of channels was kind of our starting force as well. I'm sure a lot of the regulars know me, but if not, good to meet you.
And tonight, our very special guest, all the way from sunny California, where it's 80 degrees, and we're sitting here in like 58. Anyways, is Craig from the Thecraig909. Craig, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about your channel.
Hey, so my name's Craig. I run the Thecraig909 YouTube channel. Primarily a Ford-based channel. I got a couple different vehicles on it. I think the most popular right now are my two 64 Galaxy Fastbacks, as well as my 71 F100 short bed. So I've been building those recently and doing a bunch of videos with them. They've been pretty fun.
Well, it's great to have you here tonight, Craig. Before we jump into any questions, though, we're going to jump over to the chat. There's 18 people and climbing in here, so we want to acknowledge everyone who's joined us. So Melissa, who is our in-house moderator, she's here tonight sharing all the channels out there. John Woodworth is here, Nathan Carey, Uncle Bobo. We've also got Stuff with Cletus, Rusty Wrenches, Harnet's Garage. Who else is here? Mustang Guy 6501. Everything is Broken Garage, a new channel that I started following today. Welcome to the channel, guys. If you don't know who Everything is Broken is, a couple of newfies with a YouTube channel. Proud to be sporting some Canadian here tonight. King Eric, the greatest of all, is here, as well as Robert's Garage. Floyd's Mayhem Garage is also in the house. And everybody is trickling in. So why don't we start off with the first question? Luke, do you have something you want to ask Craig to get us started here?
Sure. I was thinking, so I was watching one of your videos earlier today, Craig. What was it? And when I went back and looked, I got an idea, but what was it that made it? Was it just because it was in the family, the Ford truck thing? Like I noticed in your video today how you and your friends share all your parts, and you noticed that your old core support was in this guy's truck that you guys found at the show. Was there anything like, has it always been Ford, or is it just that's what caught your eye?
Well, to be quite honest, actually, it surprises a lot of people. I'm actually the only car guy in my primary family. My mom nor my dad are car people almost at all. So I'm actually a self-taught car guy, and I really always have been. My dad basically showed me how to change my oil, and I've taken it from there. And the Ford thing comes probably from my grandfather, who had a 39 Ford truck, which was in that video that you watched. The red one. And I pointed that out, and that was a 10-year frame off restoration between my uncle and him that built it. And I had ridden in that truck when I was 3-4 years old. He passed away when I was 8. But that childhood, memory, I guess, of the truck, I guess. And I mean, my uncle was always a Ford guy too, because they had built that truck together, and they were always Ford guys. So I guess that side of my family kind of rubbed off on the Ford thing. And just coincidentally, almost all of my friends, predominantly have been Ford guys. And even more so, I've, in the last 5 years, grabbed a specific Ford truck friend group, which are all local to me. We hang out all the time. And that was the thing, is my buddy wrecked that truck, and I ended up having a spare core support and spare doors and a bunch of spare parts, and I gave him all my old stuff. So it's really funny, to see my old core support in another truck. But yeah, we all have this like little community, and I've predominantly done Fords. I have had a Chevy. I bought a Chevy C10 on my channel, I think back in 2018, and it was like the most backlash I've ever had for a vehicle, which was surprising. I think that C10, was like, I think it was vehicle like number 4 or 5 at the time that I had owned, but I'd owned only Ford trucks, no cars, no anything like that. It was just Ford trucks. So I brought in a Chevy truck, and people went crazy. They're like, "Oh, I'm not subscribing. How dare you?" But I mean, it was a cool truck. It was nice. I liked it. It was great, and I made a lot of money off of it. But I knew what kind of audience I had. That was for sure.
We do have a $5 super chat coming in there from Nick's Garage. Thanks, George, for starting off the super chats tonight. Craig, you mentioned in your answer from Luke that you're self-taught when it comes to your mechanics. Now, I've been watching your channel for a few years, and I'm impressed by how young you are, and how much you know about cars and how much you're willing to take on. How did you gain your knowledge? What led you to be so charismatic at getting to the point of tearing transmissions out and engines and stuff like that?
Yeah, well, it was always back in high school. The biggest video a lot of people know me for is my open header high school reaction video, which I think has like a little over 1 million views at this point now. That kind of whole thing started where it was, you know, I had a stock truck at the time and I wanted to hot rod it like a lot of kids do. And it was one of those things where I may not necessarily know how to do it, but I would always tear it apart. I knew what to take off. Everybody knows how to tear something down. So I'd always take it apart, and then I would just have to teach myself how to put it back together. Always. That's how it always was. I would tear it apart, and mostly my truck was my first vehicle I ever had. So my F100 I got when I was 15, turning 16, built it to where it ran and drove, and then I drove it through high school. And that's been my first vehicle. That's what I drove, a little 3 on the tree and everything. So I would take it apart on a Thursday and have to drive it on school on Friday. And I would have to teach myself how to get it back together so I could drive it to school. Otherwise, Sean, my buddy who was in a lot of my videos, would have had to pick me up in his little Jeep Liberty that he had and take me to school. So it was always me tearing it apart and being like, okay, well, get on the internet, get on YouTube, get on these articles and figure out how to put this thing back together so you can drive it to school tomorrow. So and it just kind of escalated from there. You know, I just kept taking things further and further and further. And now I cut the side of my Galaxy off because I just feel like I hate myself that much to do it. But yeah.
I did notice, Craig, that you don't seem to overdo. Like, you won't just think, oh, I've got this and I'll just pretend I know what I'm doing. Like in one of your videos, you mentioned, you know, hey, I know that this is going to pull the rocker arm studs out of the head. So I'm going to be careful. We're going to put it together, take it to the show because I want to go to the show.
Yeah.
And then when you came back, you were totally chill. You're like, yeah, it pulled the rocker studs out of the head. What do? Aluminum heads. I knew it was coming. And I think being a mechanic myself, that's the best trait to have. So when I saw you do that, I was like, okay, this kid's got it down. Like, he's totally unfazed by it. Let's take it back apart. We'll get it back together. It's going to be fine. That you can tell you love the truck.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, I've had 4 different seats in it, 10 different engine options, 4 different intakes. It's one of those things where it's like, I kind of called it done in today's video just for, you know, title purposes, but the truck's never done. Nobody's car is ever done. So I always look at it as to where can we build off of, you know, what I've already done. So I use everything as a little stepping stone. I know what I've already done, I'm going to tear apart. I did all the suspension work and painted the whole underside of that thing. And I have a full Crown Vic chassis for it that I built, an autocross chassis, which eventually I'll pull the body off my truck and swap it onto that and basically disregard the work I've already done. But I mean, it's the experience. I learned a lot. And I recycle all the parts that I've always used. You know, I use them on different projects, and there hasn't ever been a negative effect to what I've ever done. So it's a lot of me like, well, let's get it done for a video and let's make it move and do things instead of sitting in my driveway broken. And then, you know, we'll come back and then we'll, you know, do X, Y, and Z, all the things that we skipped because we didn't have time for the video. But it always kind of recycles and moves stuff around. So it works out.
Well, and the biggest thing is that every time you do something, you're learning something different along the way, right? So whether it's tearing the transmission out or swapping it for a 5-speed or whatever you're doing. I want to go back to I don't want to say really old, it's probably a couple years, when you were doing some touch-up paint on the old truck and you were trying to mimic the patina that thing had. And I think that's kind of what drew me to your channel when I was looking at doing some patina work and wondering how far do I go? How far do I steer away? Yours just happened to pop up in the suggestions. But let's go back to YouTube beginnings. Now, your high school header video was the one that kind of blew your channel up, I guess. But there was probably only, maybe half a dozen videos before that? So what kind of got... Yeah, what got you into YouTube? What made you decide to pick it up and just, you know, throw yourself out there to the people?
Yeah, so it's actually good timing right now. The video I posted today, that went up a couple hours ago, that red 69 Fastback that's in that video, my cousin Michael, he has 2 of those cars. He has a regular sports roof and then that Mach 1. The sports roof is his personal car he's been building for like 9 years at this point. Well, he was in my garage where I'm sitting right now back in 2015, and we had a bunch of miscellaneous videos and pictures and clips of, you know, our projects getting to the state they are now. And we were like, well, let's put, go on your phone, use like iMovie or whatever on your phone, make a little clip and video. Let's put it on YouTube, because that was back when, you had an iPhone 5 and you had a little YouTube button where you could just put your whatever video on your phone right onto YouTube. So we said, yeah, we'll do that. And then we both did it. We both made 2 videos. Mine did pretty well. And then I kind of kept with it a little more than he did. And I just kind of basically whatever left over I didn't make a YouTube video out of, I kept with it. And then I started filming little things that I was doing. Like, I think the first thing I was doing was like doing a grill swap, and gosh, I don't even remember, changing the dash and just miscellaneous stuff. And then ultimately changing the exhaust for the headers. And I filmed all that because I eventually wanted to be a YouTuber, I guess, if you want to call it that. But I was always, interested in making videos. And more importantly, the entire reason that I started the channel wasn't even to be a YouTuber. It was purely for the documentation of the truck. I wanted to be able to look back, 5 years ago and see how the truck's progressed, because pictures only tell so much. Everybody can take a picture, but not so many people can visually watch a video of it progress, which was the most important thing for me. So I had, filmed these videos, and I get to watch myself, literally change everything on the truck from when I bought it to now, which has always been cool. And I started filming just after we got it driving, I think is when I started filming it. And there's a lot of stuff from when we first bought it to when it drove that I never documented, and I regret it. So after that, and I knew that it always bugged me, I never wanted to miss something on the truck that I didn't have documentation for. And it helps, because when I go on YouTube looking up something that I don't know how to do, half the time my own video comes up and it's like, well, that's not really going to help me. But it is kind of nice, because sometimes I'll look at my own video and remember how I did something, and then it'll help me out pretty well, because it'll give me reminders of stuff that I've done.
Yeah, that's what, it's funny you say that. So I've used a lot of our YouTube videos, and recently I've been doing re-uploads. So kind of re-editing them and then remembering there was 2 or 3 things I missed on the truck, and then get my right-hand man Bobo to finish it. And so it does come in handy in many ways. It's like leave a complete record.
Yeah.
I think I may be muted.
I know.
Craig.
I'm muted. Yeah, no, we're having some audio issues. Not sure exactly where it's come from, but it could be from. It could be coming from you too, Luke. I'm just playing around with the mute button to see where the noise is coming from. Sorry, guys, for the scratchy microphone.
For me, it sounds like old GoPro when you talk, Jason. I don't know.
It sounds like that when everybody talks on my end, so I'm really not sure what's going on.
I don't know. Sorry, guys. I don't know if they've all been hearing it. Hopefully, Craig heard what I said. Craig appears to be frozen in time now.
We'll get her, guys. Don't worry about it. Hang tight. While we're trying to get this figured out, we'll go over to the chat just real quick. And I see that Robbie One Man Shop has given a super chat. Thank you, Robbie. We've also got Prepping Life has joined us, as well as Jason Rock. I see him in there. Some new names. Country Boy Gas Garage is in the house. And Melissa is there sharing out some channels. So thank you very much, Melissa, for doing that. How are we making out?
Yeah, poor Craig is frozen solid there. How is the audio for everybody else?
I see a few people.
Totally fine.
No, Craig's back. I see a few people complaining about some scratchiness going on there, but you know what? The show's got to go on, so we're going to keep going, and I'm just going to try and mute my. It almost sounds like there's the internet interference or something like that. Anyways, show's going to go on. Craig, we're going to jump into a little bit of YouTube, and we talked about what kind of got you into YouTube. What specifically has kept you going? Is it just simply the fact that you're continuing to do the progress with your truck, or is there another motivating factor there?
More importantly, it's probably mostly the response. The response has always been what continues. I guess motivates me is a simple way to put it. I'll do a lot of things to the truck, and then it works out. But the biggest thing is on Instagram when I'll get a lot of messages messages from people saying, oh, you've inspired me to take my grandfather's truck and pull it out of the yard that's been sitting for 30 years and I actually get it running and I'm super happy about it. I went out and I bought an F100 because I watched your videos. That's a cool one that I've gotten more than I would ever expect. And just a lot of people that are like motivated. It's almost like when you watch a video or a long movie and after like a super inspirational video, you're like, man, I want to go up and do something. It's like they're watching my video and getting inspired and wanting to go outside and work on it, which is really cool to me. So it's kind of transitioned from the self-documentation to the let me like share what I've learned and this is what I can build and this is how you can use it on your own vehicle, which is more so what my channel has kind of shifted to, which isn't a bad thing by any means because I was never going to be I wouldn't have been aware of, the impact that it made on a lot of people, not only on their trucks and cars, but like I'll see people that'll message me and they'll be like, I got the same wheel and tire setup as you. I've got the same gauge setup. I've got this because I watched your video. How'd you do this? This worked out really well. So it's the feedback that's helped a lot. That's been super, super cool. So yeah, the audience now is definitely what pushes me. So it's motivating. The support I get is amazing. I couldn't ask for a better subscriber base, to be honest. They're really active. I'll see the same people commenting on every video. And really the audience is always what's going to push me forward forever. I'll get comments on the sheet metal work on the Galaxy of like super, super like, rewarding comments of how, impressed people are with my own sheet metal work that like when I stare at the car, that's totally not even close to done at this point. It just makes me smile and it gives me some hope to keep going, I guess, instead of just, go inside and call it. It really pushes me forward. So it's definitely cool.
Yeah, so I think we're still dealing with a few audio issues, but nevertheless, Luke, you got another question for Craig, so we can move things right along, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. So my question's about the Galaxy. How daunting of a task? So kind of for my own personal gain, I was watching you do the quarter panels. We got something similar like floors and rockers to do. When you dove into it the way you did, what was the biggest thing that you found was unexpected to do that kind of work compared to the mechanical building like you did on the F100?
Yeah, that car specifically was the intense amount of filler. I have never found a car with more Bondo and fiberglass and weird things and like drilled holes for stud pulling guns and then the metal's all warped and they filled it completely. I have never seen more hackery in a car in my life. And it really enforces the fact that why I'm never painting my truck ever. That is not. I don't want to do this ever again. This sucks. Yeah. But I don't want to I don't want to uninspire, unencourage anybody. You gotta keep in mind I have to do everything twice on the same car. Having to do the same thing 2 times on an 8-foot long quarter panel. I have to do 4 8-foot long quarter panels. That sucked. So yeah, but when on the white car specifically, we knew there was rust on the lower wheel well. But I have an Eastwood contour tool that strips all the paint off. And I basically drug it and just kept going down and down and kept finding more filler. And it's like, where's the metal? And there wasn't any metal. I just kept going and going and going down the panel. And it went like 6 feet down the panel and I was still hitting filler. And I was like, this is horrible. So I literally took a screwdriver and a hammer. And I hit the screwdriver into the panel and it stuck into the panel. And I hit the screwdriver and it broke a piece of Bondo like that thick out of the panel. And I was like, I just looked at Sean and I was like, this is horrible. I was like, what do I even do? What do I even do in this situation? I was like, this is so bad. So yeah, I totally regret buying the car, hands down. But so, it's going to be a really nice car when it's done. So.
For those who don't know, why did you end up having to do it instead of twice, 4 times?
So with the red car is my personal car. That one's getting my twin turbo Coyote 6-speed. It's like my show car, my big dollar car. And I originally bought the white one when I was going to do an FE 4-speed in that car. I was going to make like a lightweight clone, kind of just big block 4-speed drag car. But then it ended up costing, $10,000 to build an FE, which is expensive. And I figured at that money I could do a Coyote. I got offered the Coyote for cheap, and then I was stuck with the white Galaxy. Well, I was like, well, I paid a bunch of money for it. I'm not going to use any of the parts on it, so I might as well try to clean it up and flip it, as a lot of guys say, famous last words. So my cleaning up and flipping it is, I hate body filler, so I find any of it, I try to strip it down to the metal and see what's there, and I just kept doing it, and I couldn't stop. And it was in the roof, and the roof was full of that thick of Bondo, and then the quarter panels, and then the trunk. And then I put my foot through the floor. I lifted the carpet up, and the floor came up with it. I dropped the trunk, or I dropped the gas tank, and the trunk floor fell out of the car. And apparently the trunk was the gas tank. That's what my trunk floor was. I didn't realize that. So everything that I took off the car, it's like it was held together with like bare bones of what was left in the car. So at that point, I was left with a rusty pile of junk car with a nice motor, but the rest of the car was junk. So I was like, I'm going to lose a lot of money on this car, or I'm going to try to fix it and at least get some money back out of it. So I knew that I was going to do brand new quarter panels on the Red Galaxy because Automotive Direct was nice enough to work with me on that car. So we do have brand new sheet metal for the car. So I was cutting all these panels off of that car to begin with. So, and because of that, I figured if I can take the quarter panels off the red car, straighten them out a little bit, do some rust repair on them, it'll be way better than what's on the white car already. So I'll straighten those out and reuse them on my white car, and then I can have all metal panels in that car and have it straight and eventually sell it. Well, now it's gone to the point where both cars are similar calipers being restored to very nice conditions. And I had somebody comment on a YouTube video saying that those cars are incredibly lucky that I've adopted them. And that is very true, because if anybody got their hands on that white car, it would have gone straight to the junkyard when they found out how much filler was in it. Because that car was sideswiped at one point. The door was messed up, so it has a different door. The quarter panel was all messed up. But now it's all been cut off, and it's all straight metal back on the car. So the car is straight as an arrow. There is no filler in that car right now. And I'm really happy with the way everything's coming out. It's going to be, in terms of, reselling Galaxies that are painted and restored, I'd put money on it that car will have less filler than 90% of the Galaxies that are for sale in the market when it goes up for sale.
What does one of those Galaxies weigh?
There a lot of people think they weigh like what Chargers weigh, like closer to 4,000 pounds, like they're big cars. But believe it or not, that thing I think weighs around 3,600 pounds. It depends on the motor. I think the big trucks weigh a little more. What's that?
It would have been an intermediate at the time, right? Like I'm a Mopar guy, so for me, like a Chrysler Imperial is a full size, a Roadrunner's an intermediate, and a Dodge Dart's a compact. The Galaxy, was it a full size or an intermediate?
Galaxy was a full size.
Okay.
The Galaxy was like the Crown Vic of its day. It was a drag car, it was a NASCAR, it was a taxi, it was an ambulance, it was a cop car. You can get any trim you want in that car. That's what I thought was really cool when I started to look into the history of the car. But that was America's like full-size car. You can have it for the hot rodder or the soccer mom. It was a little bit of everything. So that car's huge. But it's a boat. It drives like a Charger. I've been in Chargers. It drives very similar. It's very spongy. Like you hit a bump and it just keeps bouncing for like the next quarter mile after the bump. Exactly. Like right on a push couch. But I'm hoping to keep my red one with the Coyote, because the Coyote only weighs about 450 pounds. And I'm doing a full cage in that car. So I want to get that car down to 3,500 pounds. I want to see if I can. I think the roll cage is going to cancel out any sort of weight savings I cut out of the car. But we'll see. I'm going to try. My weight goal for that car is 3,500 sitting without me in it. But we'll see. I could just totally be a liar and it will weigh 39 to 4,000 pounds, and I just don't know how to do math. But I guess I can try at least.
I know what you mean. We just did my dad's 55 Ford Crown Victoria on our channel. You might like it, Craig. You should check it out. It basically you get in it and drive, and it just kind of floats everywhere you go.
So, Craig, you had mentioned about the sheet metal on the Galaxies, and I noticed that you had AMD as some of your supplies. Is that true for your sheet metal on those cars? Because I see that they're doing an awful lot more with different Ford products as well.
Yeah, no, it was impressive to me because I looked into it, just for fun. Because once I found the Bondo in the white car, I was like, well, this is screwed. I got to see if at least something exists. So I was like, somebody has to have something, because like all the East Coast guys, their quarter panels tend to rot out a lot. So it's like, there's got to be something out there, right? So I found Automotive Direct and I looked through their whole catalog of stuff. Yeah, and then they make the firewall, they make the floor for that car. They were coming out with a roof. I don't know if they're still doing the roof. They have the deck lid panel where it rots out in the back window. 90% of the car, really, realistically. And I was super impressed. So, and I noticed it was a 2-door fastback quarter skin, so it wasn't like a post car or any sort of 4-door where the wheel opening is a little different. So I had messaged them and talked to them, and I think Jason, the guy over there, is a really, really great guy. So we started talking about the car and the issues I was having. I told him a similar sob story to where I'm a little young college kid and I have 2 cars that are, falling apart around themselves, and I'm trying to get a YouTube channel to work with it and make a little project out of it. And he's a great guy, awesome, massive shout out to him. None of this would be happening if it wasn't for Jason at AMD. Great guy. He was really willing to work with me on the cars and kind of support what I was doing. And when I told him kind of the build scheme that we were doing with the red one, he was super down to help. Shipped out a set of quarter panels for the car. And then that led me into, well, I have new sheet metal for my red one now, so I should be able to utilize the spare stuff for the white one. And I've done and made do with what I have. So the Autometal Direct stuff is great. I've seen that they're constantly coming out with new parts for different cars. I think they're leading in towards like the next 65 gen Galaxies in the next couple of years. And they come out with new products like every month. It's amazing how much stuff they have. And their stuff fits incredibly. I've already worked with it. The taillight panel, you can just drop it in and clamp it up, and everything lines up perfectly. I have yet to find a panel that fits better than an Autometal Direct panel. I'm impressed. The trunk literally slid right in. I could have not even welded it and stood in the trunk. Like, it was perfectly flush. I was so impressed with how the trunk fit. And it's a big trunk.
And for those of you guys who might be in the chat who are building F100s and square bodies, Autometal Direct is a great source for body panels for those as well, because they are basically punching out just about everything you can think of for those 2 trucks. So make sure you go and check them out. Yeah, Luke, you got another question for our guest tonight?
I was just wondering. So again, it's kind of I'm a Mopar guy, so I'm used to dealing with unit bodies. Did Ford ever switch to, like, I know a Fox body's a unit body car, stuff like that, but then the Crown Vic is body on chassis. Did they have any unibody cars back then, or is the Galaxy, like, could you change it into just a track attack killer with the Coyote drivetrain, like you're doing with the Crown Vic chassis with the truck, or is it a unit body car?
Yeah, the Galaxy's a full body on frame car, and what a lot of people don't realize is I think it's 61 all the way to 64. It's a fully boxed frame from front to back. So this frame is fully boxed all the way around. It's got its cross members all the way through it. If you tied any sort of subframe connector into the body for that thing, the chassis on the Galaxy is incredibly stiff.
Yeah,
that doesn't mean that's another reason why the thing's heavy. Having a fully boxed frame is why it's heavy. It doesn't weigh 3,200 pounds or 20 something like a little Falcon, but like Falcons and Mustangs are unibodies. But the more heavy duty, like full size Fords, a lot of the Lincolns and Mercurys, those are body on frame as well. And I've noticed a lot with recent Fords that I've worked with, late 60s, early 70s cars, they're shared parts through a lot of different ones. So the chassis underneath my Galaxies was used in like at least 5 different cars. A lot of the Mercurys and Fords of those times in different, other than just a Galaxy. So anything that was, if I had to guess, anything that could have been a 4-door probably had a frame under it. If I had to guess, I know I'm probably going to miss something, but just in my own intuition, any full-size car had a frame for what I could understand. But I'm trying to think of other cars that were built in 64.
Yeah, our
but
55 has a full box frame.
Yeah. But,
so I did miss a super chat that rolled in there from Prepping Life for $20. Thank you so much for giving us some super chats there tonight, and I apologize for missing that the first time around. Before we get into our next question, I want to open up the chat for any questions that you guys might have for Craig, and we'll try and make sure that we have as many as we can. So go ahead and put them in the chat, and maybe Luke, you can keep an eye on the chat as well. If something pops up there, we'll make sure we try and grab that. I want to ask you, I keep kind of going back to YouTube, but because a lot of the people who are watching our show are smaller YouTube channels, we'd like to ask our guests sometimes, what are some of the things that you could help as far as advice goes? What's one thing you might give as advice to creating a YouTube channel that you may have found to be successful for you?
A couple things. So the first thing is post as much as you can. Hands down, post as much as you can, but make it efficient. The one thing I've noticed is when I watch any other YouTube channel, whether it be big or small, if there's even a 5-second window of nothing happening, no vocals, no action, no nothing, that gives you, I've learned this from other creators, any spare moment in a video where something isn't happening or the audience is not entertained is a moment where somebody can click off your video and onto another. So that is probably one of the most important pieces of advice I've ever learned from any creator ever. So when I'm filming my videos, and more so now later, I try to take out any dead space in audio, any dead space in video that seems to be boring. If it seems like I'm talking with somebody and it's dragging on and it's like some weird dialogue that doesn't really, like the camera's just staring at something and I'm talking to somebody, then I'll just scrap the whole clip because it's not worth it. I'll just put something that's more entertaining in it. My videos are long, so it's one of those things where I gotta keep it short and sweet. But you know, if I have a 25-minute video, it's going to be a lot happening throughout that 25-minute video. I do see one chat coming. Has Craig worked on any Mercury Cougars? I have not. The one thing that I want to get myself when I graduate college is I want to get a 67 Cougar. That's one of my college present to myself when I graduate from San Diego State University. I would love to get one of those and build it. I don't think I've actually worked on one. I've worked on tons of Mustangs, which are pretty much the same car, but not any Mercury Cougars. I don't know if I've worked on. The closest thing to a Mercury is honestly my Mercury 410 that I had, that FE that I had, but I haven't actually worked on too many Mercury. Everything is broken garage. Was the F100 worth it? Heck yeah, 1000%. I got asked this question yesterday by a buddy, and it was one of those things where I was sitting in my driveway and I stared at him and I was like, $100,000 would not buy this truck from me, specifically because I'll use this example. I wouldn't be sitting here filming this with these guys if it wasn't for that truck. No way. And I got offered a perfect cherry restored 95 F-150 single cab short bed 4-wheel drive, most cherry brand new motor. It was a beautiful truck, and it was $5,000. And then my truck that didn't even run was $3,800 at the time. And I had begged and begged and begged my parents to let me go with that one because I wanted my first vehicle to be something that I never sold, which it isn't. And that was incredibly important to me. So my truck's 1000% worth it. It's gotten me into the F100 community, which I didn't realize how small it was at the time and how much I've actually influenced that community. That's incredible to me. Any F100 groups, a lot of people have, recognized me and recognize the truck specifically because there's not very many trucks that look exactly like mine. You can have a red truck or a blue truck or whatever, or a black one, but my truck looks a specific way and everybody notices that.
It's got to be those 10 wides. It's got to be the 10 wides.
Yeah. And the rusty Wimbledon.
Cut the springs and didn't bend the beams and all that stuff. I see another chat from Novatads. What do you feel got you into cars? When I was a young kid, 8 years old or earlier, my grandfather had restored a 39 Ford pickup truck with my uncle, and that was something I was always in my grandma's garage. I'd rode in it when I was like 3-4 years old at car shows and probably seen that truck. But once he passed away when I was 8, it was kind of like low for a little while. But we'd always played Hot Wheels and video games and Need for Speed and stuff like that. It was always, apparently my parents used to tell me when I was a little baby, I'd push books around on my knees. So then they got me Hot Wheels. And then I think it's just kind of escalated from there. So yeah. You want to work on a Cougar? Come up and work on ours. Yeah. I need some help with my Galaxies before I work on other people's cars. That's one thing I've noticed. I gotta get these 50 cars done. But yeah, no, I'd love to start branching out a little more, but my plate has been more than full, to say the least.
Well, and that's part of being a YouTube channel, B, a car guy, and C, not afraid to put your stuff out there for the world to see, is that you've always got lots of time to expand your horizons on different types of vehicles when it comes to, getting your hands dirty and figuring out how certain things work. One of the things that we do like to do on the channel before we kind of close off anything that we're doing is we like to ask our panel basically something that's new or something that's coming up on your channel that you might want to give a sneak peek or a teaser to people. So Craig, what do you got that's coming up on the Thecraig909 that you might want to share with the folks?
All right, so for this group that's watching, if you did watch all the way through, I really do appreciate it to this point. So my sneak peek I'm going to give you is my Coyote motor. My Gen 1 is sitting right next to me in this garage right now. I'm currently waiting on a T56 Magnum 6-speed for this car, as well as I'm speaking with the company about possibly twin turboing the car. So as soon as this transmission shows up, we are going to start test fitting the Coyote motor into the red Galaxy, which, as you could probably understand, means I need to get quarter panels back on that car because I cut them off. So I have been scrambling to get sheet metal done on these cars because I'm the only one that does it. Unfortunately, none of my friends know how to do it. So I'm kind of the one person. I mean, I have friends that help me here and there, but the actual bulk of it is all done by me. So I have to hang this 8-foot panel by myself, which takes a lot of time. So I'm hustling to get that done. But the biggest thing that I'm trying to prove everybody wrong, because once I got the Coyote motor, I made one video with it, and everyone's like, "Well, we'll see that in 2 years." So I'm trying to get this thing put together as quickly as I can. Because if it's in the car and it sits for 4 years, it won't feel as bad. But if it's sitting in my garage on an engine stand, I get a little upset. So the biggest thing to look forward to in the upcoming months is two things: getting the Coyote fitted in the Galaxy. There's only so many Galaxies with Coyote motors, let alone a 256 Magnum transmission and 2 massive turbos sticking right up front in your face. So that is one of the biggest things we're going to be working on. And directly after the thing gets mounted, it's going to be going to my friend's shop and getting a full cage front to back. So fully tucked, dimple die window gussets, full, show car. Really, really nice hot rod race car cage. And then following that, I'm working closely with the AFR. I'm possibly doing another top end on the truck and converting it maybe to a solid roller camshaft. So I might go bigger camshaft, bigger cylinder heads, bigger intake manifold, and hopefully pull more power. And I guess the last little sneak peek is I'm working with Holly on a coil on plug setup as well as an EFI setup for the F100. So all things you got to subscribe and stay up to date on the channel with. That will be coming out in the next couple of months. So make sure you subscribe and watch the videos, and you'll be the first one to see it.
And totally unrelated, Jason Rock is asking me when I'm going to shave the beard again. Never. I regretted that the instant that I did it. So no, it's coming back, guys. It's coming back. So don't you worry about that. So yeah, exactly. I'd lose about 20 years. I'd look like Craig again. Those of you who are in here, who obviously you know who Luke is and you know what's going on with Luke. He's going to be having a live stream on Saturday, I believe. Is it, Luke? Why don't you go ahead and plug that a little bit?
I got to talk to Bobo. It'll probably be Sunday. Bobo and I are going to talk about it. And we've come up with a few plans for videos that will be coming. We're going to try to get back to new videos as soon as possible. Just make sure you and everybody you can think of that's wondering, catch our live this weekend. Of course, Bobo and I will put it out on Instagram and probably do a post on YouTube as well. And I also put in the chat here, D100 versus F100. When the border opens, maybe we should go see what we can hang with Craig's fancy F100.
All right.
Hey.
All right. I like that. I will say that I took my buddy for a ride and I laid into it, and it spun through second gear and into third. So, and I was a 295. So it's not packing, but it's fun. I think it'll be fun.
Spinning ain't winning.
Well, all night we've been sitting here talking about Fords.
I'll give you that.
I had to get a D100 reference in, Craig. I love D100s as much as you love F100s.
And as you can probably see over my shoulder here is the old square body. So we're kind of hitting all cylinders here tonight with the Ford, the Dodge, and the Chev. So I think it's great that we have the ability to not just be Ford guys or Chevy guys or Dodge guys, but to be able to come together as car guys. And that's kind of why we're in the niche that we're in, and why we actually choose to do what we do and put it up on YouTube for everybody to see. So coming up on Old Car Guy, tomorrow is just kind of a little bit of a filler video, just because we've been busy with getting the house basically tore apart. You guys know that we sold the house, and I'm going to be packing up the garage this weekend and getting that stuff put away. So it's just a little tour of what's coming up on the Car Guy channel. Basically where we're moving from, where we're moving to. So make sure you're tuned into that. And I also want to give a quick shameless plug to the fact that my wife and I started our own YouTube channel, a new one, totally unrelated to cars, doing some urban exploring. I'm going to leave that link in the description once we go off air. So if you guys want to go check that out, we've got 2 videos out now. A new one is coming out tonight at midnight, so you guys can go check that out as well. Having lots of fun, checking out some abandoned places and finding some old cars and stuff like that. So it's gonna be fun. It's a small stretch to see that one make some money. We're only at 12 subscribers right now, but nevertheless, it'll be what it'll be. So Luke, any final thoughts? Any final questions for Craig before we get ready to sign off here?
Not really, man. Thanks for coming. I love your truck, which is really hard for me to say because it's an F100, but It is really sweet. And yeah, I'll message you because once my house improves and the border opens, Uncle Bobo and I will, you know, D100, F100 action. That's where we like to have our competition. We're famous for saying community, not competition. Save the competition for the track. So I think it'd be good times. And just thanks for coming on the show. And I'm honored to be able to be the guest host while you were here.
Yeah, no, thank you a bunch. I appreciate it. You know, massive shout out to these guys. Subscribe to their channels. These guys are the ones making this stuff happen. I love podcasts. I love, you know, I'm super appreciative of the invitation to come on. It's always fun. I love talking to you guys about car stuff. And I'm super happy you guys enjoy the stuff that I do, and I enjoy the stuff you do, and the stuff you guys do for the community, the car community. This is really cool. I like how you said the Dodge, Ford, Chevy thing. That's really cool, because I may do Ford stuff, but I am a car guy. You know, I can mess with a little bit of everything. I'm not specifically a Ford guy, but we all kind of come together at the same place. So I'm really happy I could have been here to do that. So thank you guys a bunch. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, and don't forget, guys, this is the reason why we do this this show, this live stream is pretty much specifically for the community and not competition. We want to make sure that we're highlighting not just big channels like Craig's, because we consider that a big channel around here, Craig, but other small channels like some of these up and comers I mentioned earlier. Everything is Broken Garage. You know, a couple of Canadian guys in Newfoundland. Go over, check those guys out. Luke's channel, Coastal Auto Reaction. Floyd Mayham's Garage. The easiest thing to do is when this live stream is over, excuse me, go into the chat, see who's making comments, and pretty much guaranteed everybody that's in there that's making a comment has a car channel. If you're not subscribed to them, check out what they've got. If you like it, subscribe to it. Don't just subscribe because I tell you to. Make sure you enjoy what they're doing, because that's what it's all about. We want organic growth with everybody here. So that's what community, not competition is. It's not just about shouting people out. It's about seeing what you like and subscribing to it if you like it. So have fun with it, guys. Luke, thank you so much for filling in this week. We appreciate having you here. It's so nice to have you back in your home setting as opposed to the alternative. Nevertheless, thank you so much. Craig, it's been a pleasure. It really is. I reached out to Craig quite a while ago one time and just sent him a quick message on Instagram saying, hey, I'm just a small channel. I'd appreciate it if you go check out, see what I've got to offer. And if you can offer any tips to help me grow. And he did. And I took that to heart because we've been growing pretty good ever since. So thanks, Craig, for the advice. And I appreciate that. You know, it's not very often you get to look at somebody literally who's young enough to be your son and be taking that kind of advice from him. But nevertheless, I think you've proven yourself. You're doing a great job, and thanks for being on the show.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. It means a lot.
Okay, guys, that is your Car Guy and SIXFAN show for this Thursday. We thank you for being in the chat. We thank you for making all the comments and being interactive with us, and for welcoming Craig and Luke to be a part of the show when things are a little up in the air, when everything's not going so right. We got a little bit of sound issue, and Grant's not here to fix things for us. But nevertheless, thanks for being a part of the show. We'll see you next week for the season finale of the Car Guy and SIXFAN show for season 5. With our special guest, who is Tom Mortsky from Mortsky Repair. So make sure you tune into Grant's channel next week, because it's a co-hosting opportunity. Grant will be hosting the season finale with Mortsky. So make sure you head on over there, and we will see you guys next week.
Thanks, guys.